So I'm supposed to be on my way to Napoleon's Paris walking tour, but I got a little sidetracked by these little babies over here. This is the Jardin de Helen Keller. It has nothing to do with Napoleon. At least I don't think so. But it was open. And when was it constructed? Middle of the 19th century. Well, Napoleon first, this was right at the turn of the 19th century that he had a lot of things constructed in Paris and I guess in France in general. And, after he won the first time anyway. So I don't think that was one of them, but it may have been, you never know, right? So we're going to this old fountain called La Fontaine du Fela. I don't think it's used as a fountain anymore. I mean, I think they turned off the water a long time ago, but it's this sort of Egyptian style, neo-Egyptian, I think they said in my very, very quick research, neo-Egyptian style. It was commissioned by Napoleon in the very early 19th century, so like in 1806, something like that, between 1804 and 1806. And it's on Rue de Sèvres in the, I want to say the 7th arrondissement of Paris. It's just up ahead. The next stop is quite a while away. It's the Invalides, which I visited just a couple of months ago, I think. But that's where I believe Napoleon is buried. Now, don't quote me on any of this stuff, okay? I'm not a historian. I don't know anything about French history. I make this up as I go along. I make it up as I go along. I'm learning, and it's really fun and interesting because, after having lived here for such a long time, I have to stop this because of the music. All right. Resistance and liberty, huh? It depends on who you are. It depends on who you are. Here is Les Invalides, and look at that dome. It's just amazing. The architecturally stunning structure. I mean, yet another one. Yet another one in this country. You can see the top of the Tour Eiffel from here. And I'm not going to go in today because it's getting late. But I believe Napoleon is buried here. He has the tomb that is the most prominent. I was there many, many years ago, so if I recall correctly, it's like he's by himself and he's hoisted on a thing. I don't remember exactly, but I think that let me just confirm this with the guards. Bonjour. Napoleon is buried here. Okay, thank you. No, I don't go. Okay, thank you. Okay, so confirmed, because I say a lot of wrong things on my YouTube channel. So don't ever listen to anything I say as sort of being historically correct. I'm learning this stuff as I go along because I think it's, way overdue. And I find that I enjoy it a lot. Just finally putting the pieces together. It's been 12 years and now I'm starting to put pieces together, barely, and it's so fascinating. so beautiful. I love this process of learning about this stuff. And even if I have to leave France, which is very possible, without going into too much more details, I'm going to continue to study French history because I find it infinitely, intriguing and fascinating. So there you go. So that was Les Invalides. We're on the Napoleon Bonaparte, the premier, walking tour in Paris, right? So he's buried here. The other side of Les Invalides, the Musée de l'Armée. They're all sort of like in the same building. You have to just go through the courtyard and you're in the other part. And I think this was commissioned by Louis XIV, I almost want to say. Again, don't quote me on any of this, but he wanted to take care of the injured servicemen of France, and for them to have a place to recuperate. So that's what I think originally was the idea behind this monument. But don't quote me, you guys. Don't quote me. We are approaching the Pont Alexandre, which is directly opposite to the Invalides, where I just was. This, I don't think, has anything to do with Napoleon. I think this was constructed after Napoleon had probably already been dead, if I'm not mistaken. And so the empire had fallen. And this was some kind of a treaty deal between France and Russia. The Russian Tsar, Alexander III, and the French government came to some kind of an agreement because, they were having trouble, Germany, all that, So this was in the very late 19th century, 1900, no, I think it was 1900, which is the very beginning of the 20th century, but it was commenced in the 19th century. This is the Pont Alexandre. It truly is a beautiful bridge. It's, to me, the most beautiful bridge in all of Paris. And you have a nice shot of the Eiffel Tower from here. And a lot of it's just a beautiful bridge, I think. Napoleon, one of the bridges on my list today is the Pont des Arts, which is downtown. And that has something to do with Napoleon. I think Napoleon commissioned that bridge, but this bridge was not commissioned by Napoleon. It was a deal between France and Russia, a sign of friendship by the Russian government. And I think that in Russia you have a bridge that was, also a part of this deal to be friends, to stop fighting. That certainly lasted a long time, didn't it? But yeah, that's the Pont Alexandre. I'm trying to get to the Arc de Triomphe, which was, I pass by that all the time. It's down on the Champs-Élysées, so it's a bit of a trek. But that was, I believe, commissioned by Napoleon in the very, very early 19th century, like 1804, something like that. And after he won the battle of something, Austerlitz or something, I have no idea. But yeah. Alright, so I'm on the Champs-Élysées just to get a quick shot. I'm not going to go all the way up to the Arc de Triomphe because I think everybody has seen the Arc de Triomphe. But it was commissioned by Napoleon the First. you know, there were two Napoleons, Napoleon 1 and Napoleon 3, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. All the French people who know their history, they know their history. I mean, they are just like insane. I'm not a historian, you know what I'm saying? So for me, it's more of like a novel, like a story, you know, I like it from the standpoint of a writer. Okay, so that's the Arc de Triomphe up there. And after he won, Napoleon, the emperor, I'm turning back because I have to get downtown. After he won the battle of, I want to say Austerlitz, I don't know. He won, you know, he won. He became emperor. He wanted to have that constructed, something similar to ancient Rome, you know. In ancient Rome, there's an Arc de Triomphe, I believe. And Napoleon wanted something similar in France, and so he commissioned that in the very early 1800s, and it was finished not very long after, you know, maximum 10 years after, I think. Huh? So they have just turned on the lights on the Champs-Elysees, but it's still not like very, very dark, so you can't really see how spectacular it is, especially from my camera. But it's quite pretty, I would say. I'm heading to Madeleine and Place Vendôme because these also are associated with Napoleon. Oh my god. Oh my god. It's insanity. It's starting to be night. It's probably, I don't know, maybe it's about 6 o'clock. Oh, the light is red. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. I don't play with these people. They are crazy in this traffic. Absolutely crazy. I mean, I've just never seen anything like it. Okay, so I'm trying to get to Madeleine, which is over here. So Madeleine is a church that I've been to many, many times. I was there maybe 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks maximum. Beautiful neoclassical church. Corinthian columns, the works, just gorgeous. And it's a church that, you know, the history is very convoluted. So it existed before Napoleon, you know, and in fact, it had many different lives. Like once it was either the Bank of France or considered as a site for the Bank of France. It was a stock exchange. It was this, it was that. And Napoleon, I think, originally wanted to build a temple, you know, because, you know, during the revolution or before even, no, during, the churches were no longer being run by the Catholic Church. Like, I mean, churches were ransacked. Just a lot of craziness was going on apparently. And after Napoleon won and the churches were returned to the Catholic Church, or Catholicism was restored in France, I should say, as the main religion, if not the only religion, to a large extent. Then, what do you do with all these churches and restoring these churches and stuff? So I think the Madeleine had a whole big ton of stuff going on there. But Napoleon is the one who finally, restored it as a church, or gave the orders to restore it as a church, and somehow, I guess, found the funds to restore it as a church in the 1800s, you know, somewhere in the, before the mid 1800s, you know, before 1850, right? I think. Okay, again, quote me on absolutely nothing, or quote me at your own risk, right? Quote me at your own risk, because, you know, I make up this stuff as I go along, okay? I make it up as I go along, okay? So this, once again, is Rue Royale. I was here just the other day because, again, I was at La Madeleine, which is right in front of us right here. So this is the church I was just talking to you about that Napoleon sort of had restored. You know, he wasn't the original original stone. You know, he didn't lay the original stone on this one. You know, there had been a church there for many centuries, and he sort of had it sort of refabbed pretty much, you know, after the revolution and after Catholicism was restored. So there was a time in history of the country when, you know, Catholicism was out. You know, they wanted the church out, they wanted the Pope out, and just all of this, you know, Catholic stuff out. But, you know, this is a Catholic country, make no mistake about that. I mean, they don't, a lot, I shouldn't say they because it's a generalization, but many don't believe in God anymore. They are atheists, and they're probably atheists, and they will tell you that, you know, I've had people look at me like I'm literally silly for talking about like God, you know, and sort of like it's just not true is what they tell you. And you know, considering the history of this country and the number of churches in this country and the beauty of these churches, I could never reconcile that. But I would tell you, as I said when I was in the Madeleine, they have changed. These views have influenced my own views. I'm not an atheist, okay? I'm not an atheist. But certainly my views of God are more nuanced, and sort of, you know, I don't even want to say that. Like, it's not that it's nuanced, but I think it's more sophisticated. You know, I think about it more on a deeper level about what is it that I believe, you know, and you know, I believe something, you know, and I'm not going to sort of articulate that here now, but I'm definitely not an atheist. But it was because of, you know, being exposed to atheists for the first time who were not ashamed of being atheists. You know, in America, America is much more sort of religious. I mean, you don't go around telling people you're an atheist. They look at you like you're the Ku Klux Klan or something. But here, it's more of an intellectual thing, you know. It challenges you to really think about this God stuff. You know, this one man being, you know, sitting on his white throne in his white robe and among the white clouds, and, you know, pulling strings and, you know, watching everything happen. You finally realize once and for all that this is childish and it's ridiculous and it's not true. But then what do you put in its place so that you don't lose your mind, right? You can't lose your mind. A, and B, you really believe something is there, you know. So it forces you, or they forced me, living in this country for 12 years, forced me to think about God on a much deeper level. And I think I'm in a good place where that is concerned, you know. I'm a good place in that is concerned. And, you know, I'm frightened to say that, and I mean really frightened to say that I've come full circle now, or I'm almost full circle, where I'm literally starting to think about going back to church. Can you believe that? I'm literally thinking about that. Alright, so this is Madeleine, okay, but I gotta get this light focus. Oh my god. Oh my god, oh my god. And neoclassical to the T. It's just like pure Roman architecture. And by the way, I would say that even though it's not a temple, and Napoleon had to sort of compromise and like forget the temple and go with the church, I mean, this is obviously a temple. This is a temple. Would you not concur? Okay, so we're heading to the Cologne Vendôme. It's like insane how many people are out, and I guess it's like this all the time. It's just that when you are a country booby like myself, and you're a homebody and you're always in your apartment, you have no idea. You have no idea. Right? You just have no idea. Okay, so this is the Column von Dom. I can barely see it, but I think on the camera it will be a lot clearer, but with my eyes dim, the mask is on, so I can't put on the glasses, you know, that kind of thing. When you know, you put on your glasses when you're wearing a mask. It fogs up the glasses and you can't see anything at all. But I think the camera does an adjustment. So this is Place Vendôme, and this has a connection to Napoleon as well. In fact, it's very, very complicated, the history of this column, so I'm not even going to attempt it. It implicates a lot of people. Napoleon I, Napoleon III, King Louis XVIII, King Louis Philippe, non, c'est Louis Philippe le Premier, qui était le dernier roi de la France. I can never remember his name. Louis Philippe, was it Louis Philippe Premier? It kind of sounds wrong, but the very, very last king, he is implicated in this because what happened was, Napoleon I think had it constructed originally. Correct me if I'm wrong. And he, it's for his glorious, war victories and, the army, this, that, and the next. And it's got a lot of detail on it. If you can see the detail. And so it's also modeled after one in Rome, right? It's modeled after one in Rome. Okay, so that was Napoleon I. So then what happened, he was fighting with all these people. Like he was fighting with Austria, Francois Premier or Deuxième, and the Russian Tsar Alexander, right? They had all these wars going on after the revolution and the murder of Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette, right? So somehow after that, Napoleon was again defeated. So in other words, this thing came down. They tore this down. Paris tore this down. They dropped this at one point. They didn't want it. And then I think it was reconstructed in like 1875 or something like that. I have no idea. Okay, it's very, very complicated, very convoluted history. Okay, no idea. But can you see the relief on the column? All the details, they all represent war heroes and stuff, and Napoleon and stuff. Okay, so this is Place Vendôme. Okay, now it's night. You see it's night? Do you see it's night? I'm not in my apartment. I'm panicked. I'm freaked. What's the way home? I did want to go downtown because the Notre Dame, you know the Notre Dame, he was also connected to the Notre Dame. And I wanted to get to that area. Look at the moon. Oh, how beautiful, right? How beautiful. No one's looking at the moon. Everyone's like the stores, the lights, the shopping, the poshness, the beauty, the architecture. Nobody's bothering with the moon, all alone up there, except for me. Anyway, I'll see if I get downtown or not. I don't know how much juice I have left on my phone anyway, but let's see what happens, right? If not, this may be the end of this video. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is like insanity. It's insane. I've never seen anything like it. I don't like crowds. Did I tell you that? It's not my favorite. I don't like. Oh my God. Oh my God. Alright, so I'm debating whether I should continue on with this tour. But anyway, the Louvre. We're at the Louvre. I believe the Louvre Museum is another sort of historical or has a historical reference to Napoleon the First. Of course, the building, I think, or some of it was there before him. You know, I mean, it's sort of like a medieval structure, probably, and you know, from the Middle Ages initially, and then it was a place where the nobility lived, and it was a lot of artists and things like that. And then the time came when they got the idea to turn it into a museum, right? So I think it was Napoleon who started that process. I don't know that he finished the process of turning it into a museum, but you know, it was his idea. I mean, it started on his watch. I think it started on his watch to turn into the Louvre, but it wasn't originally the Louvre. The building was originally used for other things, like the residence of. Oh my God, there's a song playing. Stop. Okay, so sorry about that, but you can't sort of have singing songs in YouTube. I'm sure they're going to say something, and I may have to take out this spot in the video anyway. But yeah, so this was the Louvre is Napoleon's brainchild, as a museum, that is, you know, not necessarily as the structure itself was well before Napoleon's time. The pyramid is well after, you know, it's a modern addition by the Pei, is it Pei or P-E-I was the architect on that one. And yeah. Oh my God, did I not film all that I thought I was filming before? Okay, so if I didn't, this is the Pont des Arts, and it was also commissioned by Napoleon in the early 1800s, like circa 1804, something like that. And before this bridge was erected, I think it was some kind of problem for pedestrians to cross over or something like that. I don't know, but this bridge used to have all the locks on it, where the lovers used to put their names on these locks and lock them on the chains on the bridge, and it eventually became too heavy, and it was a risk that the bridge was going to fall. So the city of Paris had all of those locks removed, and they replaced the wire mesh fencing with this sort of this heavy glass. But anyway, as I was saying before, oh my gosh, there's music, but it's so beautiful. Okay, so this is the Notre Dame, obviously, and this also has a connection to Napoleon, and I don't know what it is. I think it could be that he got married to Napoleon Bonaparte, that is. He got married to Josephine, his wife, here, or he was crowned emperor at the Notre Dame, right? I think. I don't know. For this one, I really just don't know. You know, but I know that it has some connection to him. And I believe it was that he was crowned emperor, as was his wife Josephine, at this cathedral, which is still under renovation after that fire, right? I believe the Christmas market is open over here. Let's check that out real quick, and then we'll see if we can get to the Jardin des Plantes, which is the last stop on the walking tour, if I get there. I'm not really sure, because I'm like, oh my god, where do I, I'm like, I have to go down that way and up, and I'm like, oh. Alright, so this is the Jardin des Plantes, but it costs a whopping 18 euros to get in. So guess what? I need to call it. It's very late. I have to go home. I'm panicked. I'm like in full panic mode right now. My bus is going to be here in like 2 minutes. So it's done for me. It's done for me. So what was this with Napoleon? So Napoleon, I don't know. I think that it was the garden of the king before. It's a very big garden, like a botanical garden. And after the fall of the monarchy, Napoleon Bonaparte opened it up to the people, to the public, I think. All right, don't quote me on any of this. Okay, that's it for this one. See you in the next one. Take care. Bye.